So, my name is Aaron White, and today we're going to be looking at the replication of P6's OBS system, security system in Power BI using row-level security. So before we really dive into this, I'm just going to brag about myself for a little bit. Like I said, my name is Aaron White. I'm a BI solution architect with DR McNatty. I've been here for roughly 6 months and have around 5 years of experience using basically the whole Microsoft suite, everything from Power BI to Power Apps, as well as Azure. So really been able to dive into the various Microsoft tools and really kind of enjoy that suite of products. As for certifications, I currently have my PL300, which is the Power BI certification given through Microsoft, the AC900, which is an Azure certification, just kind of the fundamentals, of course. And then the last that I'm currently looking to get is the DP600, which is covering Fabric. So Microsoft's new, relatively new product, which allows you basically to do a end-to-end data migration within that platform. But enough about me, my ugly mug. Let's just move on and kind of talk about the agenda for this webinar. So basically, we're going to cover four things. So the first one's going to be kind of talking about the shopping list and what we need to actually do our row level security with from P6's OBS into Power BI's RLS. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about what Power BI row level security really is from a high level, end to end, what it looks like. And we're going to go into Power BI desktop RLS, discuss kind of some of the tools and things that are needed to be done in order to operate that properly. And then last, we're going to look into Power BI service row level security or RLS and kind of look into how we can set up an app as well as a workspace once we have the security set up within Power BI desktop. So let's just dive into that shopping list. So right here, we have our P6 tables as well as the columns that are necessary to set up our row level security. So first, I'll say that these first three, so profile, users, and user OBS, these are a must-have. Now this proj WBS, this is more something we call like a bridge table. So a bridge table is you can look, if you're familiar with dimension tables, it's similar to that. So all this proj WBS is it's going to allow you to collect all the OBS codes, IDs that you need, and store and then apply them as that filter within the proj WBS, which then can expand to the rest of your dimensional model. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we dive into Power BI Desktop. But just know that this can be changed with just a basic project dimension table or a task table. But in our case, we're just going to use project WBS. So for profile, we need the super user flag. This is basically an admin flag. Users, you're going to need that email. This is going to allow you to match with Power BI's user principal ID and kind of identify the user who's using Power BI service. You have your user ID, actual name, not really necessary, but helps you identify who has access to what when you're setting up the row level security. And then last, we have user OBS, which connects the user ID with the OBS IDs that are assigned to them. So those are the four. And then, of course, any additional tables would be things such as your fact table, which is the bulk of your information, which your security will flow into, which once again we'll cover as we go into Power BI Desktop. So Power BI row level security, what is it? So it is a feature within Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service that allows you to filter data access or have filter data access at row level through a Power BI user email, also known as a user principal ID. So right here, this diagram gives you kind of a high level of how it works. So basically you have data that you pull into your Power BI Desktop where you create your semantic model. From there, you'll create security roles, which are put on top of your semantic model and define what users are able to see. From there, you're going to publish it to Power BI Service. And then once it's in Power BI service, you're going to go into that semantic model. You're going to assign users to the roles that you create within Power BI Desktop. And then you're going to assign roles to the app or the workspace that you're going to allow your users to have access to. And then from there, this will allow the users to kind of have defined data stream to them. So in this case, we have user one, who's only going to have access to OBS ID 1, 3. User 3 is going to have one OBS IDs 1 through 3. And then if they're an admin, they're going to have access to everything. So start to finish, row level security is all about assigning roles and filtering data in accordance to who should be able to see what. So let's break this down a little bit further to Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop row level security. So one, what is it? It's or what can we do within it? What is its purpose? One of the main purposes, I would say, if not the only, is to create those security roles that we discussed right here. So how this is done is, and we'll see this in our demo, is we go into the modeling section, go into security, and then we select manage roles. From there, we can set up those security roles using DAX, so creating queries, or we can use the native UI that was recently laid out about a year and a half ago. That makes it a little bit easier if you're doing simple filtering processes. One of the things to key in on is this user email is equal to user principal ID or user principal name. So all this means is whatever emails that you're going to be using from your database, they have to match the user principal name, also known as like the email that is assigned to Power BI. They have to be the same, because if they're not the same, then when that user logs in, they're not going to be able to see anything because those emails aren't going to align properly. The other thing you can do within Power BI Desktop is you can also test those security roles. So same process, model security, but instead of manage roles, we'll do view as, and then from there you're actually allowed to take your emails that you have and that you're assigning to various roles, and then check them and see the filtering process that takes place. So without further ado, let's take a look. We'll dive into first. Let's actually take a look at the model. So here's our Power BI desktop. We're going to take a look at our model view first. And so as we discussed, we currently have our RLS. So right now we have our user OBS RLS. So what I had previously talked about, let me go back here, were these tables right here. So our profile user and user OBS. Now, you can use all of these three, like by creating the relationships within Power BI Desktop, and then creating the role and then the row level security from those. What I chose to do was actually create a view within our SQL Server, and then combine those three tables together so it's all in one place, and the queries that are made off of it and the DAX made off of it runs a little. It's a little easier not only to read but to create. So either way works. But in our case, when I walk through this, it is going to be just one table called user OBS RLS. And just keep in mind that it's just all these three tables and all those columns just in one place. So it's a little bit easier to read. Sorry about that. But so here we are. So we have our user OBS RLS. And just so we can kind of see our OBS and how it affects it in terms of access, I've added in our OBS table as well as the hierarchies that show kind of from start to finish what OBS nodes connect to what, and then create a one-to-many relationship between the two of them with a cross filter in both directions and a security filter in both directions. Now, in terms of our tables that we'll be kind of applying this RLS to, will be our WS parent child, which, like I had mentioned, is kind of like our bridge table, our dimension table. And this will flow into our C2C cost snap. So this is just a cost table. So the idea is that we'll create through DAX a query that will collect all of the OBS, assign them to an email, and then assign that filter on top of our WBS parent-child, which then will then flow into CDC cost snap through this relationship, this one-to-many relationship, and then we'll filter everything accordingly. So let's take a look right here. And we can currently see what our order setup is as of now. So this is our OBS tree hierarchy by user, and right now we can see the following. So we have Patrick McDonald. He has 600 OBS IDs currently assigned to him, and they are laid out from level 1 to level 4. You can see Dan Beck. He has 136. You can see Dave Madding has 5. Then you can also see up here that there's myself, Aaron White, and I actually don't have any OBS nodes assigned to me. This is because I am actually an admin in this system, as kind of marked by this admin flag right here as Y. And so even though I don't have any of these OBS nodes assigned to me in our user OBS RLS, I do have access to all of these, which we'll kind of look further into as we develop the code. So now that we've kind of explored this, let's make the role right now. So this is our managed security, our modeling, managed roles, and how we create these is by selecting new, selecting the table that we want it to be assigned to, and then either A, using our UI to assign values based on column level, or in my case, I like to use this DAX editor, right? So, well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create 2 conditions. The first one's going to be bar OBS, and what we're going to do is we're going to select all of the user OBS, RLS, per user. So in this case, it's going to be email is equal to that user principal ID that we discussed, the principal name, right here. And then once we have our user OBS or our email assigned to our user principal name, we only want one column, and specifically we want all of the OBS IDs that are assigned there. So what we're going to do is OBS IDs, and we're going to select that OBS column right there. So just a little review. So select columns allows you to select one column from a table. We're selecting from the user OBS RLS table. And then we're filtering it down to where that email is equal to whatever name or whatever person is signing into Power BI. And then once we have that email that aligns with whatever person who's signing in, we select the OBS IDs that are within that table. So we basically created a list of OBS IDs to later place to be equal to any OBS IDs that are currently in this WBS parent-child table. So that's going to be our first variable. Our second one is going to be called var admin. And this is going to catch all users that have this admin flag marked as yes. So to do this, we're just going to do a basic condition statement. So we're going to do if, and we're going to do is blank. And we're going to do select columns. Filter. We're going to do our user OBS RLS again. We're going to make sure we're going to check the email as equal to that user principal name. And then we're going to also check and see if that super user flag, which we discussed, which is that admin flag, is equal to Y. And we're going to mark this as our flag test. And then we're going to select our email. I missed a comment here. Oh. Yeah. Boom, boom. Okay. And if that is blank, so if we and this email can be really anything. We're really just checking to see if the email if we filter the same table, this user OBS RLS, and we select based on our whoever signs in, and we're saying, hey, if we filter the table to that email specifically, and then we check that super user flag column. If any of those columns are equal to Y, or if none of the columns are equal to Y, it's going to show up as blank, right? Um, and then if that's the case, we're going to say it's a 1. If it's not, we're going to say it's a 0. And last but not least, we're going to do a return section that says if the admin is equal to 1, um, then we know that it's not a the user is not an admin because it was blank, and we're going to select all of the OBS codes that are currently in our WS parent child, and then we're going to select for all the OBS codes that we've selected in our um, user OBS RLS. And if that's not the case, we're going to mark it as true, which means give access to the entire table. So that is, in short, kind of how we would create a role, as well as the code that would go within that role um, for a table. So to do that, we're going to save, right? And then we'll give it a test, right? So because we did, if we look back this, because we set this up on our WBS parent child, we need to test this on our cost breakdown, right? So let's actually pick out Dan because Dan doesn't have as many codes. I'm going to go to our cost breakdown. And then we're going to do as view as. So that's it. So once again, go to modeling, security, view as. This is a key one here as well. When we're viewing as roles, we have to make sure that we select the role that we just created. In that case, this can be called RLS. And then we're also going to select other user. Right? From there, we're going to go ahead and paste that name in there. Press OK. And then you can see that's working now because you see this upper hand bar. It says now viewing as RLS, which is our role, and then the email that we selected, right? And you can also, if you saw that the figures actually changed. Before the target cost was roughly 35 billion. Now it's around 12.6 billion. So we can see that the projects that were available decreased uh, due to that row level of security being activated, right? So that is, in short, how RLS is created within Power BI Desktop using the DAX format. Um, Now I know that was a lot. So if there are any questions, I can answer them now before I jump into that Power BI service section. So worksheet. So yeah, Brian, if once again, yeah, it's just me and you. So if you have any questions, go ahead and spit them out. I'll let give you talking ability. If not, we can move to the next. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Single rule. Are you asking if role you can only have one role at a time? Um, if that is the question, then no, you can actually have multiple roles. So currently, we only have the RLS role. Well, and you can, but you can also actually have multiple roles that are applied on a semantic model at a time. Hopefully that answered your question. Um, but we will keep going. So next we have Power BI service. So Power BI service is going to be broken up into two. Oh, excuse me, I mute my. Hmm. Patrick, could you help work with that? It seems that Brian is unable to unmute on his end. It'd be great to be able to have the ability to chat with him. Um, See if we can help on that side. If we can't get that to work, Brian, I'd be happy to hop on like a quick call after this, and we can discuss this further. But
Okay.
oh, here it is. Yeah, I can hear you now. Just heard you.
Apparently, I just had to press my space bar to talk.
Yeah. Um, but did that answer your question? Were you asking about the roles
It
if you have multiple at a
it
time?
it did. It
Okay,
did.
excellent. All right, so we'll keep going. So Power BI service. So basically, when we go to Power BI service, there are two ways to go about applying that role level security. Um, there is applying it at a workspace level, and there's going to be applying it at an app level. So first we'll go over workspace. For the workspace, you can see this our little diagram again. Once it's put into Power BI service, for the semantic model, this is going to be same no matter if it's an app or a workspace. You're going to assign users to that role. Um, Now, when you can do this, one important thing to mention uh, is I guess it mentioned the use of, or the potential use of Microsoft Entra security groups. So this will save you a load of time, you know, in the future if for maybe a couple hours on the back end. Just because so these Microsoft Entra security groups allow you to add multiple users at a time within Azure. So say you have 10 users and you want to put them all in this Microsoft Entra security group called RLS group. So once they're added to that group, that'll give you a single email which will represent that security group. From there, you can add them within into your Power BI space, not only to the role, but also to whether it be the workspace or the app, rather than having to add 10 users every single time. So big thing come in terms of administration, Microsoft Entra security groups, that is the way to go. Now, back to kind of the workspace side of things. When it comes to a workspace, in order for the row level security to work properly, the assigned users, when they're added to that workspace, they can only have read level permissions. If they have anything higher, that row level security will disappear. I'm sorry. The row level security will disappear, and they'll have access to everything. Now, one thing I guess kind of caveat to that is you can have read permissions as well as build permissions, and that will allow the user to download that PBX file and perform edits and create visualizations. But in that case, they'll still only have access to the data that is available to them in terms of level security data. So they'll still only have the filtered data. Um, but yeah, they'll be able to download it and build off of it. So I wouldn't typically recommend going this route. I would typically recommend going this one with the Power BI app. Give you a little bit of separation between your building environment and your sharing environment. So in this case, the setup is very similar. So when you publish to Power BI, you have your semantic model, and then you're going to assign users to the role within that semantic model. Um, but the difference is when instead of allowing those users into the app, you're actually going to, or users into the workspace, you're going to create an app and then add that dashboard and the semantic model into that app and then assign the users and then I guess add or assign users to that app itself. So then while they have access or they're assigned roles within that model, they really don't have access to the workspace itself. So there is some separation and gives you a little bit of leeway. Um, so let's dive into the Power BI service side of things. I'm sure hopefully that will clear up any questions. And as discussed before, we're going to go into our RLS demo right here. So from here, we're going to go into security. And you're going to see that we have our row level security with that role recreated. So right now we have Patrick in here. But let's also put Dave in there, Dave Manning. See if we get here. There we go, Dan. Put him here. So we have Dan. And now we can also go ahead and test this role. We'll save. So when you press test that role, this will give you to this screen right here, which is just a basic view of your dashboard. And as you can see, that row level security is actually applied now, at least for the RLS demo side of things. So now we're going to go into here, Patrick, and we apply it. There we go. Everything appears as it should, but just for Patrick, right? So that's kind of a idea of how that works on the model, or I guess applying to the semantic model. Now, in terms of the app, that's pretty simple as well. All we're going to do is go to here, go to edit, update app, audience. And then in this space right here, specific users or groups, this is where we can add, whether it be, sorry, we're in the wrong one. This is where you can go use your Microsoft Entra security groups and add your users. So right now, this is just single users. So we can do Patrick, we can do Dan, and that's one by one. But if you choose to create that Microsoft Entra security group in Azure, this will allow you to also add those users all at once, right? Last thing, I guess worth showing is if you do choose to go the workspace route, it's the same thing. So like you're still going to do your security on your RLS demo semantic model right here. But instead of going into the app, you're just going to do your manage access, and then you're going to add whoever you'd like to that workspace. So add, do Dan. You're going to make sure he's assigned as a viewer. You'll add, and now he'll have access to not only, or yeah, he'll have access to the dashboard, and we'll also be able, and we'll only see what what the row level security role grants him, but he'll also be able to bring that down into Power BI desktop and create additional visuals with that set data. So that is the Power BI service side of things. That is all I have currently. So I will, I guess, leave, or I guess Brian, open the floor to you. See if you have any questions, and I'll answer them if I can.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Fantastic. I figured it out. No, this was good. This kind of gave me the picture. I was kind of envisioning doing almost like a sec pack filter type thing. I mean, and this kind of goes with that. So much simpler in that sense. I'm probably more familiar writing BI publisher reports than Power BI reports. But it also looks like you're using just a direct database connection. So this is like an on-prem solution. The way you were showing it, not really a cloud, but I'm assuming we could do the same.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right now we're just pulling from an on-prem DB. But if you wanting to like oh, I guess what's your current setup looking like? Like, are you doing like a migration into an Azure SQL Server and creating like a warehouse and then pulling from that warehouse into like a Power BI? something like
Yeah,
that?
so we really have two environments, and I'll say we're doing our reporting out of our on-prem.
Mhm.
But I know that we have a OCI instance out there as well. And right now people just accept that, nah, we're not pulling any data down, and short of them doing an export type
Mhm.
situation. So um, that'll be probably our next one, is to tie right into OCI.
Okay, gotcha. One thing, so as long as you stick with imports, you're going to be good to go when you're combining data. As long as your dimension tables flow into your facts and you have relationships set up,
Yep.
the security typically works very well. The only thing that you might run into some problems is if you use direct query. So there's a lot of ifs and buts that occur within the row level security system if you start tinkering with a direct query. So I just yeah. So that's a little, I guess, a PSA if you ever decide to go that route.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Um,
Nope, this was good. This is what I was coming to find, and I got.
Perfect. Well, happy to help. And yeah, if you have any other questions that kind of appear in the future, feel free to reach out. Be happy to answer them. And if I don't know the answer, I'm sure I can find somebody who can.
Sounds good. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Mhm.